Hello and welcome to another guest top 5 list for Project Falcon Punch for 2020. I'm your host Dan, and with me today I have my friend Jess. Say hello.
Hi.
Jess, we've known each other for a few years. You've not been on this channel before, but we've been friends for the best part of 10 years. And in that 10 years you do a lot of travelling, and obviously 2020 was probably quite a difficult year for you. So I imagine that you were stuck at home playing a lot more games than you were usually.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate enough to be travelling the first 3 months of 2020, which actually is quite a lot when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I got home in April, which was the height of the first lockdown in the UK. So after that, I was playing a lot of games. Although I have to admit, I was secretly quite happy to be home in time for the release of certain games.
Yeah, I know that you were looking forward to a couple of games we were talking about, I think, beforehand. So how was your year of 2020 then?
Oh, it was mostly dreadful. As most people's were, I imagine. Am I allowed to swear on your thing?
Yeah, of course you can. You can swear.
Okay. I'm fortunate enough to have my health, and so I'm grateful for that. And there were games this year which helped get me through.
Yes. So, did you want to go straight into your number 5 then?
Yeah, let's go straight into it, because people don't want to hear this crap. They don't know who I am. They don't care.
Well, they will do in a minute.
Okay, number 5. I had a few contenders for this one, but I've gone with a game that I put a lot of hours into this year, and I thought was just so much fun. And that's Fall Guys. I had so much fun playing this game, and I wanted to include it on the list because it was quite different. I don't normally play online games. I prefer to play on my own, but it was just such a funny game. The music was great, and I found myself spending hours screaming at the TV when I couldn't win, because it was so frustrating at times, but it was really, really funny. Even when you lost, it was funny, so it was like happy frustration, and I think everyone should try it. I got my friend who doesn't play too many games, she really got into it, and she actually texted me last week saying she finally won a crown. So after about 6 months,
nice.
I think I managed 2 or 3 crowns last year, so that's not too bad.
That's 1 or 2 more than I did.
Ah, well, there you go.
I got the 1 crown, then I was like, I'm retiring, I'm happy, I'm done.
That's me done, no more.
Did you play much online with your friend then?
Actually, no, never did. We were never free at the same time, or I just played it at home with my brother, and we'd swap the controller over, because it was just on his user actually, because it was free on the PlayStation Plus users, which was great, I think.
What's your favourite minigame in Fall Guys?
As frustrating as it is, I really did like the final level hexagon, where you're falling through the tiles.
Yeah.
There's a technique to that have a rhythm, and you slowly jump from tile to tile, and that's the best method for anyone listening that wants to.
Until you mess up the one jump when you fall about 3 floors down.
Yes, occasionally that will happen.
You're methodically going around the hexagons really slowly, then some dickhead just charges right across your path and just cuts you off.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, thanks.
There's definitely some luck involved as well, but my brother mastered it much quicker than I did. It takes a while to get the rhythm because you're kind of panicking, so you end up jumping too fast and then you lose it, so you have to stay calm.
Yeah. Okay, so what have you got as your number 4?
Number 4 is the Spider-Man Miles Morales game, which I played last autumn, as soon as the PS5 came out, basically.
You're a fan of the 2018 game as well, right?
Yeah, I really loved the 2018 game. Spider-Man is my favourite superhero, along with Batman. 2 very opposite ends of the scale actually. One is very dark and moody and the other is much more fun, but I've always loved Spider-Man, and I just thought the game was really cool, and it's got the kind of combat style I enjoy, a mixture of stealth and beat 'em up kind of thing, and you can use your webs.
You like the Batman Arkham games as well, don't you?
Yeah, I really like the Batman Arkham games too, but yeah, the Spider-Man one is really awesome. When you're swinging around the city, it just runs so smoothly on the new game as well.
Yeah, because you were the lucky person to play it on a PS5.
Yes, that is mainly thanks to my brother, so shout out to him if he's watching this video.
Yeah, because I mean, it's 30 frames probably on the PS4, and then I guess it's 60 right on PS5.
Yeah, you could change the settings on the Spider-Man game to have better performance but different lighting, or you could enhance the lighting so the game looked better but performed ever so slightly slower, and I went for the higher performance rather than the better light, if that makes sense.
You went for the better frame rate basically rather than the better visuals.
Yes, the better frame rate. Yeah, it was really cool.
Okay, so what is your 3rd favourite game of the year?
Number 3. You know what? I had my list on my phone and I can't think what number 3 was.
You had Crash, I think.
But what was number 2? Oh, I know, yeah, okay.
I'm leaving this all in, by the way, don't worry.
No, you better not. Number 3 is Crash Bandicoot 4.
Yes.
I loved Crash Bandicoot as a kid. It was one of the first games I ever played. We've always had PlayStations in my house. As you'll notice, pretty much all of these games are PlayStation. And I really enjoyed the 4th one. I played that a lot this year. And I honestly thought I was going to give up on it early because the remastered Crash Bandicoots were so difficult. I played them and realised how hard it is. And Crash 4 is hard too, but I persevered. And I mean, I didn't even get all of like the gems and stuff, but I managed to complete all of the levels. And if anyone's played it, there's a level at the very last level, the very end, there's this point where you combine all the skills that you've learned into a small segment of platforming, and oh my god, it's insane. I attempted it over 100 times before I did it, which is a lot for me. I'm normally quite an impatient gamer, which is bad, and I give up if I'm really shit at something. I give up quickly.
I've seen your rants before, your rages. So I can only imagine what these games are. I've not played Crash 4, but I've played the originals and the remake Insane Trilogy, and yeah, those games they can be frustrating, definitely.
So frustrating.
Alright, well, do you want to move on to your number 2 then?
Yes. Number 2 is a fairly small game, but one that I enjoyed thoroughly, and that's Outro's Playroom, which was on the PS5, and that was great fun.
So you're going from like a hard 3D platformer to a relatively easy 3D platformer?
Yeah, it's a relatively easy game. I mean, there were moments that were a little tricky, but yeah, it's a relatively easy game. If you want to get all of the PlayStation trophies though, there's a few tricky things to do. I did manage to platinum it, just FYI.
Humble brag.
Yeah, that's pretty easy to be honest. But it was just such a fun game, and it paid homage to all things PlayStation, and there were these cute little songs in it as well, and Astrobot is so cute. Yeah, it was just really good fun to play. You go around and you collect old PlayStations and old PlayStation controllers and things like that. It sounds really strange when I explain it like that, but it also demonstrated the new PS5 controller with its adaptive triggers and the vibrations and stuff. It was really cool to play as one of the first games on the PS5 because it demonstrated that to its full potential, which was really cool.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, like the controller is just like makes use of the controller so many cool ways. Like you played a bit of the VR game as well, but like I think like the gameplay is similar, and also the structure is very similar as well, where essentially has one mechanic and then it will just be like, okay, that mechanic was cool, but you know you can move on to another mechanic now, and it just keeps the pace like really fresh.
Yeah, it was just a lot of fun to play, even though it was super easy. I just really enjoyed playing it and exploring the different worlds, and I'd recommend it to anyone that gets a PS5. Sorry, that sounds like I'm being really...
If you're one of these people that gets a PS5, then guess what? You've got a free game in your hands. But if you get hold of it, that's probably the trickier part.
If you're as lucky as me to have a PS5, I'm kidding.
So then, I know what your favourite game of the year is because we've spoken about this a lot off mic, but what is your favourite game of 2020?
It's obviously The Last of Us Part 2.
Great pick, just want to say, well done. Finally found someone else that's put it as their number one. Took me about 6 different recordings to find someone that finally agrees with me.
Yeah, I don't care if you don't like this game. It's amazing. And I know there are some faults perhaps with the story, and the video that best describes the game's faults is one from a YouTuber I really like called Nakey Jakey. And he has a really long video on The Last of Us 2, and I do agree with the points he makes in that. I'm probably going to go through this without spoilers, by the way, in case, because it would really annoy me if anyone spoiled this game.
What's your favourite aspect of the game? I know that's probably a bit of a broad question, but...
Oh, that's tough, because for me, I love the game so much because I love the story, I love the characters, but obviously I think it's one of the best story-driven games that's ever existed. But also the kind of style of gameplay is really good for me. That kind of third person I prefer to first-person shooters, and also I enjoy the mixture of sneaking and shooting and punching. Not that you do too much punching, but...
You punch when you're in a bit of a pinch and you're like, shit, I've run out of bullets. I'll use this 2x4 to whack someone across the face.
Yeah, it's always good to have a bit of 2x4. That combined with the horror elements, because I really enjoy horror games. For me, it's just the perfect combination for the perfect game. I enjoy all of the quiet parts of the game where you're exploring, you're picking up collectibles and bullets and stuff. I enjoy all of that. I play games very methodically and slowly. It took me about 45 hours hours to complete the game because I spend so much time walking around looking for stuff.
Am I correct in saying as well that you've platinumed this game as well?
Yes, I did platinum the game.
Which, well done on that.
Thank you. I had a lot of time on my hands, so... The game presents you with interesting moral dilemmas as well, and the second game does the same. And there's only a small handful of games that have stuck with me after I've finished playing them, where I actually think about them at different points in the day or when I'm going to bed. And The Last of Us 2 really did that for me, and I was thinking about it before, you know, as I was getting into bed, I was thinking about the game. And I was like, oh god, it was probably not a great thing to play, to be honest, when you're already slightly anxious about the world you're living in. Ellie is one of my favourite characters in a game ever, so I felt like genuinely concerned for her, which sounds so silly when you say it out loud, but...
No, because you do grow that attachment to her, obviously, from the first game as well. Like, you have that sort of, like, parental sort of feeling towards her in the first game, so then when you're playing as her and you see the shit that she goes through in the sequel, you still have that feeling of, like, you just want her to be okay.
Yeah, for sure. All of the characters are played so well by the actors, and yeah, it just really affected me emotionally. I cried like twice, maybe more, during the game. Not afraid to admit it.
Yeah. Well, no spoilers, but that closing shot is fucking heart-wrenching.
It is. Even if I think about it now, I get upset. But sorry if that's a slight spoiler, but I mean, people must know that it's going to be a somewhat depressing game, surely.
It finishes in a really happy place. Everything's fine, and Nathan Drake comes out and he's like, I've got the buried treasure, everything's good.
Nathan Drake comes out. But on the other hand, I really enjoyed the combat. I loved sneaking around underwater, sneaking around from the dogs. The dogs were a good addition.
Yeah, they were a great addition. I felt so great when I killed them, and then the owner would go, oh no, you've killed Muttley. I was like, oh, great.
It's so awful. But all of those little details in the game just made it really, really impressive. Like when I blew off someone's leg with a shotgun, their leg exploded into loads of pieces.
There are some times when you get ambushed by some people, and then they come around the corner and you shotgun them, and you're like, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, it's so horrifically violent.
It's very visceral.
It's one of the most violent games I've ever played in my life, and in a somewhat sick way, I enjoy that violence. I love how realistic the violence is. I'm probably going to sound like a maniac now, aren't I?
Well, you did to me beforehand, so it's good to know that everyone knows the true you now. Yeah.
But I do understand some people's issues with it. Some people, I think, are just talking crap.
A lot of people were talking crap.
A lot of people are talking crap. All of that kind of bollocks is just shut the fuck up. But I think the only real issues you can pick out with the game is with parts of its story and what the game is trying to tell you. And I won't say too much because spoilers. However, it's still my favourite game of the year. The first one is, well, one of my favourite games of all time.
Same.
For similar reasons. So.
Okay, well, Jess, thank you so much for giving us your top 5.
Thank you. It was nice to be in a YouTube video. I've never been in a YouTube video like this before.
Well, you're welcome. So if people want to find you on the internet, where can people follow you on Instagram and Twitter?
Yes, I'm most active on Instagram. However, I don't really talk about games too much. Maybe every couple of months I moan about how Silent Hill's never come out. But otherwise, I'm not really a gaming blogger or whatever it's called. So if you want to follow me and you enjoy travel, not that many people can travel right now, I have a lot of travel stuff on my Instagram, which is Jess Travels and then 2 underscores. And on Twitter, I'm Jesslar, Jesslar. You can follow me if you want.
All the links are in the description anyway. Thank you for joining me, Jess, again, and good luck with your 2021 travels.
It's gonna go well.
Are you glad you redid that bit now?
Yes.